Namaste. Namasundara Nathaya Tasmai Halasya Vasine Chatushashti Vidhalila Yenakari Bhuvasthale Shrimat Sundara Nathasya Devim Shaparalochanam Kalaye Hridaye Nityam Kadamba Vanavasinim Putam Swataf Putataram Tatoyat Gangampayas Shankara Mauli Sankat Tatpatu Matuf Pranayata Radha Padha Hatai Putatamam Tato Naha. We are resuming the Shivaleelarnavam class after 2 months. So this will be a very short class just to give a recap and then maybe 2-3 shlokas. So we are in the third Leela, which is Madhurapuri Nirmanam. How the Madurai was created, and it was initially a Kadambavanam. So in the first 2-3 sargas, first, that is the second and the third sarga mainly, we saw the description of the Kadambavanam. So the entire southern portion of India was covered with this Kadambavanam. And how it was then the trees were all removed and a city was built there by Kulashekara Pandyan is going to be the following sarga in the fourth sarga. This is the third Leela that we are going to see. We started off with the description of Vaishya by name Dhananjaya. The poet described how Dhananjaya was in a couple of shlokas, starting I think from 40 something, if I remember right. So there were a lot of words. 41. From the 41st shloka, it was a description of Dhananjaya, who was born in a city called Kalyananagara. Kadamba Vipinath Prachi Kalyananagare Tataha Kalena Mahata Jigne Kaschid Vaishyo Dhananjaya. He was, used the word Dhananjaya to talk about how our Dhananjaya, Vaishya, is different from the Kshatriya Dhananjaya, who is Arjuna. Arjuna did fought with Bhagavan, Parameshwara, in order to get Pashupatashtram. But our Dhananjaya, he did not have any desire, so he was even better than Arjuna. So the premise that we are seeing here is Dhananjaya is a very great soul, an elevated soul, wherein he did not have any wishes at all. Despite being a merchant, he did not have any desire for more wealth than what was probably due to him. That's all. Right? Akrinata eva punyani vyakrinata na jatvapi samayeshu upayogaya sarvameva jugopa saha or sangrihyaiva jugopa saha. So akrinataiva punyani, he only tried to collect punyam and he never spent them at all. He never spent na vyakriyata, he vyakrinita, he did not try to give them to anybody, na kadapi adat. Yataha samayeshu upayogaya sarvameva jugopa. He protected all of it to use it at the correct time. That is, he wanted to use this punyam only during religious things where, or he wanted to use it only when he was due for Swargam, probably. Right? So he did not want to spend all of his punyapalan. He only collected punyapalan. He did not hoard wealth there. Sa bahun vishayan gatva vanijyaya dhananjayaha nivritto nipakantara samipam sayam ayayo. Now the context here is he comes to Nipavanam or Kadambavanam. He goes roaming around different desha, different vishaya. Vishayaha tu atra deshaha iti padasyaiva paryayavachi shabdaha. So saha bahun vishayan gatva, bahun deshan gatva vanijyaya kimartham, for doing trade, dravyasya kraya vikrayartham saha sarvatra gatva tadanantaram Nipavanam agataha. It is closer to his city, which is Kalyananagaram, and as he was coming back to his city, he saw this Kadambavanam, and it was during evening time. So when it is evening, usually all these merchants in those days, when they were roaming around, they tried to stay the night somewhere. Even in our days, we try to avoid travel during night, or try to avoid going in a car during night, just to for safety purposes, right? It may not be a forest today, but still we do follow this advice of staying the night somewhere and not traveling during night. The first thing that comes to my, the advice that I tell my son whenever he says I'm going out is, don't travel during night. பொழுது சாயிருச்சு வீட்டுக்கு வந்துருங்கோ அப்படிங்கிறது இஸ் அ வெரி, பொழுது சாயிருதுன்னா சாயங்காலே தோ கிரகம் ஆகந்தவ்யம் இத்தியேதத்து. This is something that an advice a lot of people do it for safety purposes, right? So in the same way here also, Dhananjaya, as सायंकालः तत्र आगतः तदा नीपकान्तार समीपं सः आसीत्. So he was near this Nipavanam and he sees the sun setting. That's the next shloka. Adrishyata sahasramshuhu asta bhudaramastake mandeha yuddha labdha asrik panka digdha iva arunaha. Now, a description of the Surya Astamanam and the Sayankala Varnana starts from this 49th shloka as seen by the Vanik Dhananjaya. In a Kavyam, Mahakavyam, especially where you have many sargas, there are certain rules you need to follow, like Chandrodaya, Suryodayam, Suryastamanam, Chandrastamanam. These are all descriptions of nature that have to take place in a Mahakavyam. These are some of the rules that are there pertaining to Mahakavyam. Sargabandho Mahakavyam Uchyate tasya lakshanam Nagararnava Shailartu iti. You will find it in Kavyadarsha. I have also mentioned it earlier in a couple of shlokas, or maybe I think in the second Sarga also I have mentioned that, wherein the Sargabandho Mahakavyam, Mahakavyam should have different Sargas, and then there should be descriptions of Nagara, Arnava, Shaila, etc. There is a huge list of descriptions that need to be there. Not everything has to be there, but at least some has to be. If you see Kumarasambhavam, which is termed as a Mahakavyam, not all kinds of descriptions are present there. There is a description of Shailam, the Parvata, Himot Parvatasya tu Varnanam tatra vartate, Rutu Varnanam vartate, but you don't find a description of a city there. The city description is not there. In some other Mahakavyams, you will find the description of a city. So it's not necessary that all of these elements have to be there, but at least one or two elements have to be present for it to be named as a Mahakavya. Now, Shivaleelarnavam is also a Mahakavyam. One of the two Mahakavyams that have been written by Nilakanta Dikshita, the other one is Gangavataranam. In this also, he has tried to bring in those Mahakavya elements. And one of that is the description of Surya Astamana. Adrishyata sahasramshuhu. Sahasramshuhu Suryaha. Adrishyata, he was seen. Asta bhudaram astake, on the peak of the setting mountain, the sun was seen. He was seen red. He was seen red, being smeared by the blood obtained from fighting Mandehas. So Mandeha yuddha labdha asrik panka digdhaha iva. Mandehaha, they are supposed to be Rakshasas who fight with the sun during every Sandhya Kalam. And those demons keep dropping down in the water during the sunset every day, because these Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they throw water at them reciting the Gayatri Mantra. So the Gayatri Mantra, as they are reciting it during the Sandhyopasana, they throw the water, and that water is supposed to fall on these Mandehas, the Rakshasas, who keep fighting with the Surya, and so that the Surya can come out again in a very resplendent manner. So it's the Dvijaha who keep the sun shining bright with their water. This is a Purana Katha which is found both in Ramayanam. You also find this in Skanda Puranam, where you have Sandhya Kale eva Mandehaha Surya Michanti Kaditum. They want to eat this Surya. And it is a shapam given by Prajapati that their body will never be destroyed. They will constantly go down and keep coming up the next day during dawn to eat, during dusk, to eat the sun. And then again the Brahmanas throw water. So that is why the Nitya Upasana is ordained for the Dvijas. Now he goes on to describe the sunset again in the next shloka. Arkam astam gamishyantam upetya anucharaha karaha anvaganvag alambanta dudruvuhu ye purafpuraha. Ye purafpuraha dudruvuhu te anucharaha karaha astam gamishyantam arkam upetya anvag alambanta. So there are some of the Udaya. So the I think how you இது எப்படி எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்றதுன்னு யோசிக்கிறேன். Those okay. So when the sun was rising initially, so before in the morning when there was the sunrise, those the rays of the sun used to run forward. Ye purafpuraha dudruvuhu anucharaha karaha. Anucharaha karaha. Karaha, so the sun is the main god here, and its karaha, that is kiranaha, the rays of the sun are supposed to be the followers of Surya. They are not they do not get prominence over Surya. It is only the sun which gets prominence because he is the lord of everything here. The sun should get prominence, whereas what happens is during the rise of the sun, these kirana, that is the rays of the sun, try to move forward before the sun. So as the Raja is, this is like how a king has a procession. The king comes out, before the king comes out, the Parivaraganaha, they first come, and as the king goes home back, he goes in first, and then the Parivaraganas are slower because their enthusiasm is slower and they don't have so much of enthusiasm to do things. So they will follow the king and go in. In the same manner here also, before Surya can rise up, the rays come out initially and they run forward. So ye karaha kiranaha purvam purafpuraha dudruvuhu. They kept on moving forward. They were supposed to be anucharaha. They were supposed to be the followers of Surya. So Udaya Kaletu Kiranaha Suryasya Agre Prasarat. They Prasaratisma, right? They kept on spreading forward before the sun. Now what happens when the sun is going to set? At that point of time, Arkam Upetya Anvag Alambanta, they caught on to the sun and they withdrew from behind. That which ran before, now they came back after the sun. So they did not go before the sun inside. So the rays are following the sun. Anvak ityukte paschat. Alambanta, they closed themselves or they collapsed themselves behind the Surya. This is also like how ஒரு சுவாமி புறப்பாடு நடக்கிறது இல்ல, when bhagavataha utsavaha tu prachalan asti mandirat pratham tatra anucharaha sarve utsaha purvakam sarve bahihi pratamam agachanti tataha swami agachati utsave. The Kapali Kovillam paathelna, when தேர் வருதோ இல்லனா அதிகாரநந்தி வர்றச்சே, you will see that all of the followers are in front of the Swami as he is coming out of the temple to see him, right? So when Surya is coming out, all of its rays are all spreading out in front of him like anucharaha, followers only, but then they want to run earlier so that they can see the sun. Now as he is moving back into the temple, people have all seen him completely. They don't run forward into the temple to see him. You will see very less people doing that. There will be that enthusiasm only when the Utsav Murti is coming out of the temple. But as the Utsav Murti has finished its round and it is going back into the temple, people don't want to go into the temple. They want to see the Pinnalagu. They want to see the beauty of Swami going in there, right? So, in the same manner here also, when Surya is going, setting down, all his anucharaha, its followers, that is the rays which are its followers, also catch on to him and they are also going into him, merging into him. Alambanta ityukte, they hang on to him from behind and go in. Clear? So, ye purah dudruvuhu anucharaha karaha, those anucharaha, those followers, the rays, which are its followers, which used to run forward before, that is during Udaya Kalam, Pratidinam Suryodayetu Karaha Agre Dhavanti, Suryahatu Paschadudeti. Parantu Surya Astamana Samaye, then what happens? Astam Gamishyantam Upetya, as they approach the sun, when it is Upetya ityukte, you can also take it as Avagamya. After understanding that the sun is going to set, Astam Gamishyantam Arkam Upetya, having understood, Upetya Buddha, having understood that the sun is going to set, Astam Gamishyantam, it's in future tense here. So Gamishyantam Suryam Upetya, Anvaganvak Alambanta, they also withdrew behind Paschat, they came and Sankochanti. Now, you can call this as Samasokti Alankara, in the sense where a completely Samasoktihi Parispurtihi Aprastutasya Prastute Sati, right? Yeah. Prastute Aprastutasya Spurtihi. When there is a contextual meaning that is going on here, you are able to visualize something that is non-contextual as a suggestion. That when such a thing is happening in a shloka, then that shloka has an alankara called Samasokti. The context here is Surya Astamana Gamanam. That's all. Surya Astamanam tu tatra prachalan asti. Anucharanam vyavaharaha tatra varnitaha vartate. So the description of how followers or how people behave. So Udayamukham Purusham. Imagine that there is a person who is rising, like the sun which is rising. Then everybody will want to go in front of him and try to please him a lot. Right? Sadharana Janavyavaharaha tu drishyate. Right? I also talked about the description of a Swami, which is nice. But you can also apply it to your daily life in the sense that when there is a person who is always rising and he has a lot of wealth, like how the Surya, the sun rises, at that point of time he will be surrounded by sycophants, right? There will be a lot of people coming there, Purataha Dhavanti, Prashamsanti cha. But when Astangamita Vibhavaha, when his wealth is completely gone, when you see that he doesn't have any wealth, Daridraha Jayate, he becomes a poor person, Astanga Gachati, Yada, Astangamanam tu, he sets in the sense that he doesn't have so much of wealth and so much of pomp and show, he doesn't have all that. So at that point of time, all of these people who used to go in front of him and praise him, now they do not follow him. In fact, Paschat Alambanta. Alambanta can also mean that they were Tishtanti. They only stood away behind. They did not go forward and try to please him at all. Now, they started trying to avoid him as much as possible and went behind him probably slowly, that's all, nothing else. Because they also started setting, in the sense they did not have the wealth that they couldn't milk him more because he did not have any wealth as such. So this gives us the idea. Surya Astangamana Samaye Anuchara Vyavaharena, that is your Prastutam. That is the context here. Aprastutam tu daridrya unmukham janam prati अन्ये जनाः न गच्छन्ति इति व्यवहारः तु व्यज्यते अत्र. So there is a vyanjana, you can't call it as dhvani, but it is more like a samasokti here. It's an alankara wherein a non-contextual idea comes to our mind. Arkam astam gamishyantam upetya anucharah karaha anvaganvagalambanta dudrubuhuye purah puraha. If you have any questions or doubts, I will give you time after 2 shlokas and then you can ask. We'll move on to the next one. Nindanto rajanim kokaha nandantastam chakorikaha chanchu chanchavisayanne sarvatas samprajahrire. Nindantaha kokaha and chakorikaha. There are 2 sets of birds. One is koka, chakravaka bird. The other is chakorika, chakora birds. Both are Kavisamaye eva abhimataha pakshinaha. They are not found. I don't know if they are found in real world or not, or whether you can actually find a parallel in the real world. The Kavi world describes these 2 birds in very unique manner. One is Chakravaka Pakshi, which is also called Koka. These Koka birds are such that they have night blindness. They cannot see during the night. They are very, very attached to their priya, their beloved. So the pairs of Chakravaka birds, they always constantly be together, and they're very much in love with each other in the Kavi world. This is how they are described. So during night, what happens is, because the sun, the light of the sun is not there, and they cannot see during the night, even if they are present side by side, they keep on shouting because they don't realize that their beloved is very close by. They may be on there are descriptions of how they may be on the other side of the lotus. There is one huge lotus or a lotus leaf. On one side will be one priyaha, the other side priyatu bhavati. Tatra teshantu melanameva na bhavati. Yadyapi samipe eva staha tadapi, they don't see each other, so they keep on shouting and they keep crying, lamenting about their fate here. So virahavasthayameva bhavanti ratro. So as soon as the night approaches, kokaha rajanim nindantaha santaha. They are scolding the night in the evening. As sayanne in the evening, rajanim nindantaha kokaha. Kokaha chakravaka pakshinaha rajanim nisham nindantaha. They are constantly kutsayanti. They are kutsayante. Yeah, it's an atmanepadam. Okay, they are censuring or scolding the night constantly, because if the night comes, then they will be separated from their beloved. So nindantaha rajanim kokaha. Chakorikaha, another bird called chakora birds. These are, they like the moon here. Kumudi, they are called kaumudi jivanaha, that which lives because of the moonlight. So their food, chakora birds, a moonlight is their food. Soundarya kuda undu oru shlokam. சட்டுன்னு வரல பாருங்க. அப்புறமா ஞாபகம் வந்தது நான் சொல்றேன். இல்ல, if someone else remembers, you can put it in the chat and I will see. Chakora, அதாவது அம்பாயாः முகம் து தத்ர பூர்ணச்சந்திரைவ அஸ்தி and chakoriva jagati. விதூதாந்தர்த்வந்தா விலசதி சகோரீவ ஜகதி அப்படின்னு வரும். விஷுத்தௌ தே சுத்த ஸ்படிக விஷதம் வ்யோமஜனகம் சிவம் சேவே தேவீமபி சிவசமான வியவசிதாம் யயோ காந்தியா யாந்தியா சசிகிரண சாரூப்ய சரணேஹ விதூதாந்தர்த்வந்தா விலசதி சகோரீவ ஜகதி. Your face is like Shashikirana Sarupya Saranehe. It is very similar to Chakori. பகவான வந்து அப்படி பாக்குறான்பா. சட்டுன்னு எனக்கு ஐ எம் நாட் ஏபிள் டு recollect it properly. There is another padyam also. விஷுத்தோ தே சுத்தஹா இல்ல, இன்னொரு ஒரு ஸ்லோகம் அந்த இடத்துல வராது. ஸ்மித ஜோத்ஸ்னா ஜாலம் தவ வதன சந்திரஸ்ய பிபதாம் சகோராணாமாசீத் அதிரசதயா சஞ்சு ஜடிமா அதஸ்தே சீதாம்சோர் அமிர்த லஹரீம் ஆம்ல ருச்சயः பிபந்தி ஸ்வச்சந்தம் நிஷி நிஷி விருஷம் காஞ்சிகதியா சகோராணாம் ஆசீத் அதிரசதயா சஞ்சு ஜடிமா ஸ்மித ஜோத்ஸ்னா ஜாலம் தவ வதன சந்திரஸ்ய பிபதாம் வதன சந்திரஹ தவ வதன சந்திரஸ்ய ஜோத்ஸ்னா ஜாலம் பிபதாம் சகோராணாம் chanchu jadima asti. So the birds, chakora birds, constantly look at your face, which is like a purna chandra, and it is emanating smitham. So you're constantly smiling, and that smile is like jyotsna or moonlight. So the face is the moon, and the smile is compared to the moonlight, and the chakora birds keep drinking this from your face. So they, other than their chanchu, their beaks have become very என்ன சொல்றது, அந்த தெகட்டி போயிடுதும்போ. There is a jadima, there is a numbness that has come to it because it is drunk the best of the jyotsna that you can get, not the regular shitamshu. So what happens when it looks at the regular chandran, the moon? Shitamshoho amrita laharim amla ruchayaha pibanti. That has become sour. It has become like lime for it. Usually amrita ruchi, the shashi kirana, the rays of the moon are supposed to be nectar like, and these chakora birds drink that nectar, and they are that is how they survive. So kaumudi jeevanaha ityuktaha chakorana. Now because these birds have constantly looked at Ambal, Devi, Parvati there, and they have been drinking that, the most sweetest nectar that can come. Now it looks at this the moon rays are very sour, and they will have to, in the palate cleanser madri, they use this the moon's rays to make it sour so that they can again appreciate the sweetness from the Devi Mukham. அப்படின்னு ஒரு beautiful description in Saundarya. This is the somewhere in the 60s, after 60th shloka this will come. So chakoraka are birds which drink kaumudi, jyotsna, and they live. So kaumudi jeevanaha eshaha. So they will be very happy as soon as the night comes. Tam nandantaha. Tam ityukte rajanimeva nandantaha. There is one set of birds which are constantly scolding the night, because the moment that night comes, these two will be separated and they will be in grief. Whereas there is another set of birds called chakora birds. They are appreciating this night because they will start getting their life food, which is kaumudi. Now these two are fighting in the evening, it seems. Sarvataha, everywhere, because இது வந்து இந்த கிருத்ர கோமாயு சம்வாதா. Gridraha is a vulture and Gomayu is a jackal. These two will keep fighting. They don't want the nightfall. One doesn't want the nightfall. One doesn't want one wants the nightfall. That is, the Gomayu keeps moving around in the daytime, whereas the vulture moves around in the nighttime. One of this, so each one wants the other time of the day so that it can move freely. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Why is this night liked by the chakora birds? Because they want their food. Why is the night not liked by the chakravaka birds? Because they don't want to be separated from their priya. So each one is fighting now that the night should come or the night should not come. So sayanne, during the sandhya time, Rajanim nindantaha kokaha, Rajanim nandantaha chakorikaha cha, chanchu chanchavi samprajahrire sampraharam akurvan. They fought with each other. They fought a battle with each other. What is this battle? This battle was with their beaks, it seems. Chanchu Chanchavi. Chanchu Chanchavi is a word that is, it is a Bahuprihi Samasa called Vyatihara Bahuprihi. Vyatiharam ityukte Parasparam. Chanchvam grihitva idham yuddham pravrittam. The example in Kaumudi is Kesha Keshi or Kacha Kachi. Kesheshu grihitva. The talamudi pudichindi sanda podradungralla and the madri. So Kesheshu grihitva idam yuddham pravrittam. This battle has started because each one is holding on, seizing their hair, and they are fighting. Now this battle here is between the birds. So one bird and the other bird, they are holding on to their beaks and fighting, it seems. That's how birds fight. They don't hold on to their hair or the wings or anything. They try to peck at each other, right? So they chanchvam grihitva eva. Or it can also be in Tritiya Vibhakti, wherein you are taking another weapon in your hand and you are trying to fight with that weapon. Dandena, danda dandi, dandaihi grihitva idam yuddham pravrittam. Dandaihi idam yuddham pravrittam. So prakritya idam dandam pravrittam. Something like that. So chanchuhu tu strilinga padam ukarantam. So tatra tenedam sarupe is your sutram that applies here. You can see the formation, how it happens. Chanchu, and then you have each as the samasanta pratyayam that comes there because of karma vyatiharam. Karma vyatiharam is where there is a paraspara action that happens. When one does one action, the other person also does the same action. Vyatihara is the parimatram, it's a paraspara vyavaharaha tu vyatiharaha ityuchyate. So paraspara karma kurvanti sarupam. It should be with the same thing that they do. Sorry. If one holds on to the hair and the other holds on to chanchu, then it can be tough. How to form the words, how to form the samasta padam will be tough. Whereas if it is sarupam, it's easier. There are also examples of other padam also. That is I think only sarupam will work. If it is not sarupam, it doesn't work there. Musalaihi, there was one example that was there in this thing. So I was just trying to halaihi musalaihi cha prakritya idam yuddham pravrittam iti chet. There you cannot have a bahuvrihi samasa because hala is different. One takes on a plow and the other takes on a pestle, musala or a iti madri orudu valakka musalangardu. If they take two different kinds of weapons, then you cannot form this bahuvrihi samasa. Only if both of them are using the same kind of weapon and they are catching hold of the same part of the body to fight, then you can have this samastapadam. Bahuvrihi can happen here. So chanchu chanchavi is your padam. It is an avyayi bhava pada. Avyayam. So it's an adjective to yuddham. It represents an yuddham here. So they started a fight by grabbing on to each other's beaks. Because one did not want the night to come, the other wanted the night to come. So sarvataha, everywhere, chanchu chanchavi yuddham, chakora birds and these chakravaka birds, they pecked or they fought, they struck samprajahrire, jahara, jahre, jahrate, jahrire, sampra iti upasargaha. Yeah, lit lakaraha tatra. So they struck at each other, they fought with each other using their beaks. He tries to use all the Tadhita lessons that Nilakanta Dikshita had. Probably he was studying Ashtadhyayi at that point of time, and he was studying the Tadhita Prakaranam, and so he wanted to use all those. So he used that Dashaika, Dashikaha, Dashakaha, Shatikaha, all these words he used before, right? So now he is using this also. Chanchu, Chanchavi. You won't find this as a popular usage. You will find people using mushta mushti, danda dandi, kesha keshi. These are all examples that are given in the Ashtadhyayi or Kashika, Balamanorama, etc. But this Chanchu Chanchavi is not given in any kavyam as far as I see. There is another one kavyam that is there which also uses this word. So he tries to give us different vocabulary. Nindanto Rajanim Kokaha, Nandantastam Chakorikaha, Chanchu Chanchavi Sayanne, Sarvataha Samprajahrire. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand because I want to stop early today, as I said before. Any questions? Liha? Okay. Then we'll stop with this. Namas Sundaranathaya, Tasmai Halasya Vasile, Chatushishti Vidha Leela, Yenakari Bhuvastale, Shrimat Sundaranathasya, Devin Shaparalochana, Kalage Hridaya Nityam, Kadamba Vanavasini.